टाटा प्ले ने की सेल्सफोर्स के साथ साझेदारी, ग्राहकों को मिलेगा एआई आधारित अनुभव। मुंबई, 4 जनवरी 2025। दुनिया की अग्रणी ग्राहक प्रबंधन (CRM) कंपनी सेल्सफोर्स ने आज भारत की अग्रणी डायरेक्ट टू होम (DTH) और कंटेंट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनी टाटा प्ले के साथ रणनीतिक सहयोग की घोषणा की। इस साझेदारी के माध्यम से टाटा प्ले अपने ग्राहकों को अधिक उपयोगी और व्यक्तिगत अनुभव तेजी से प्रदान कर सकेगा।
And these variables are things like where do you stay, what pack did you subscribe to, how often do you change it, how do you pay, how often do you pay, which means do you contact us, or what do you say when you call us, what is your tone. There are various pieces of information that are lying scattered all over the place. This data was impossible for us to make sense of through manually. Machines can help us find patterns through this data.
Do you also take data from the sources like Google, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, etc.? Are you having?
As of now, no such thing. This is all our own data that is resting on our own platform through interactions that we've had with you and you've had with us.
As I said, one has to be careful about the data sources you're using. You must have reliable data sources, and also as per the PPP Act, it allows you only to use first-party data. So basically, most of our clients will sort of rely on first-party data in order to come up with it.
We have enough data, guys. You will not believe it, but you're leaving enough footprints every time you interact with us.
Hi, this is Bennett from Bright News Online. I just wanted to ask, how in certain ways when on Google we have our data that is there, and we have an option where we can download that data that we have and keep it for ourselves. So do you have a certain way where a customer that is using your services later on with enough data that we have collected from about his watching the pattern and everything else, is it possible for you for the customer to download that data for himself?
It will make sense to you, because what also happens is, how do we use it? Let me give you a very, very basic level example. This is through sampling. So for example, we are, with the permission of the customers, monitoring the viewing patterns of a very small fraction of our customers. And we also have their persona matched with us. Now, we match the persona of others like them. And if this person is doing something next, chances are that other people who are matching this persona are likely to do that. Not certain, but more likely to do that versus any other random person. So we will be able to make sense of the data. You will not be able to make sense of the data. It is not of any use to you.
No, but certain people like
So, for that matter, I think India is one of the few places where the individual has been empowered, for instance, through the account aggregator. The account aggregator actually enables you to draw all of your financial data and provide it to whoever is giving you a loan or setting up something with you, which I don't think is available in any other country. Here the individual is actually able to leverage the data where it will make sense to them. Okay. So I think in that area the government has already thought about it as to how to empower the individual with their own data. But whether you can do it for every organization that you are interacting with, I don't even know what you will do with it actually. I don't see how it will really make an impact in anything that you do.
If you're on OTT platform, I can probably tell you that how many times you came in, what genres did you watch last year, how long did you watch each genre for. That's relevant information to you. Because you subconsciously do not know. You're just watching randomly.
based on the prediction.
But you don't know. It's interesting data for you in the end. For example, my music platform tells me you are here for so many hours and you listen to these many songs, and this song you heard 2,862 times and things like that.
45 apps.
That's right. So so that's relevant data.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, my name is Mukbil. I represent the Economic Times CIO. My question is very simple, and first of all, I must commend Arundhati and Mr. Nagpal on first on the brilliant presentation and second on the interesting chat. My question is, you pointed it out yourself that this is a very cluttered space. A lot of people are doing a lot of stuff, and so as to say, AI is the buzzword today. Most enterprises. So I interact with a lot with the leadership of enterprises. And a lot of groundwork is happening. So how are both of you trying to differentiate? Because AI is being used by everyone, and they are all trying to, generative AI has taken over in the amount of buzz that it has been creating. We have new models coming up every other day. We just had examples of 2 earth-shattering models coming up in the last week itself. So that's the first. The second is, and Arundhati, you have been referring to it, about how the DPDP Act has changed a lot of things. Do you think it places shackles on innovation? Secondly, when you gather or harness the data from your customers, of course, you have to take consent. That is mandated by law now. But are you trying to also educate them about the rights they have about data privacy? Because generally what I see is that there is a very small box which comes at the end of a huge content piece that nobody ever reads. And you have to click that in order to, and it's all in fine print. Nobody knows what's there. So are you trying to educate people, particularly with respect to data privacy, in the context of the DPDP Act, which Arundhati has been referring to on a couple of occasions? Thank you. I think I've taken enough time. Thanks.
So, from the industry perspective, I will tell you that we have made enormous efforts to ensure that we are totally compliant with all laws wherever we are. We are compliant with GDPR laws and regulations. We are compliant with the US regulations, and though DPDP is only still in the draft regulation stage, but we are fully aware of the fact that we will be compliant. If there is some changes or tweaks that are required to be made, we will ensure that it is made. At the end of the day, we are very cautious about the fact that AI can be used in many ways. It can be used for the good of mankind. It can be also used by bad actors. Okay, which is why in 2014, just before we launched our AI engine, in 2016 we launched Einstein. So before that, in 2014, Salesforce set up an office called the Office of Ethical and Humane Use of Technology. Okay, and that office, by the way, vets every single offering that we put out in the market. So each of our products, each of our processes has to tick all of our values and be totally compliant with whatever laws there are. Okay, so that's part of what we do. I'm sure Mr. Nagpal can say from his, as a customer or rather as an organization, what they do about this. But one thing I have to tell you that, it is true that we have to be very careful about data, and I kept talking about how the data sources need to be the right data sources. They can't just be any data sources. They have to be reliable, they have to be in conformity with law and regulations of the land. So it is only that we use. We are very cautious about the fact that we are dealing with something which is a precious commodity. We always used to say that data is the new oil, but nobody really knew how to use that oil. Okay, today we know how to use it, but even then we have to be careful about how we use it. But I can only tell you this is one of the reasons why it's important when you are doing these initiatives to go with proven, stable companies that spend a lot of time in understanding privacy compliance requirements and try to comply with all of it in their products as they give them to the customers, as they offer them to the customers.
Absolutely, because none of the laws abbreviations that you talked about are currently applicable in India. They are only some of them are applicable in certain parts of the world, but these drafts came out even in those countries. My regulatory head was completely aware of each and every line of that, and most of our conversations were, are we compliant or not compliant? Everything passed through the regulatory function. even if the law is not there, we need to be practicing for what is going to come to this country sooner or later. Because we can't be caught, unawares when the law when it becomes an act, really. So that's one part. Secondly, if I am collecting some data with your consent, whether the I agree has been written at the bottom or the top or the middle, especially the conditions are so many that, even the customer says, yes, I agree. Because he trusts your intention. If 10 years ago I was launching a recorder, and of my 10 million base, it was relevant to 500,000. And if the analysis of your data prevented me from going to 10 million people and trying to upsell the recorder, instead of that I went to 1 million people, of which it was relevant to 500,000. I think intelligence and now AI is only helping us reduce irrelevant propositions to you. And that's the benefit that it gives us, and that's the benefit it gives the consumer. Which is why the consumer is not trying.
Yes, I'm just concluding, to respond to what Arun just spoke about. So my entire idea about asking this question was, is there a need to go beyond this compliance-driven approach? Right now, it's a very compliance-driven approach where enterprises are ticking boxes. But are they doing anything proactively to inculcate?
Yes, because if you get a call today, for example, earlier calls that used to come from unknown numbers Today, at least there is something that says spam or promotional on top of it. I don't know whether you're getting it, but I am certainly getting it. So I know it is reducing commercial business for a lot of organizations. It is making my life so much easier as a customer, because I'm also a customer of certain services. So it is necessary. The rampance with which customers were being approached for irrelevant products without using any intelligence anywhere in between was appalling. So it is necessary. And organizations need to stick to whatever is prescribed.
See, basically any business, if it wants to be sustainable and if they want to continue to be better and better, they will automatically adopt these values. This is not something which is a choice really, it is a matter of survival, and those companies that choose to take shortcuts will not be around for too long. So if you're really looking out for your company, if you really want to be around for a long while, if you want to be a long-term player, if you don't want reputational risks and unnecessary complications, then this is something that you will definitely do. Okay. Having said that, it's still a fact that in many organizations, including the banking sector, sometimes the customer becomes the weakest link. If you see all these scams that are going on in the banks, etc., I'm sorry I'm diverted, but banks have been so much part of me for so long. But in many of these, you'll find it's the customer that's the weakest link. In spite of every OTP coming with a line saying do not share with anybody else, they continue to share it. And then after sharing it 10 times over, they suddenly realize, oh my God, I think I'm getting scammed. They've done it for 10, 11 times before the light bulb goes off. Okay, so what do you do in such cases? It's not as though they don't know. It's not as though the warning light is not there. But in spite of that, it's happening. So yeah, continuous education is what we need, because bad actors will always find newer ways. Means whoever heard of things like digital arrest? It's happening, and people are now becoming more and more aware that this could be so. So the people who want to take advantage of others' gullibility or others, what should I say, just simple, trusting nature, they will do that. So we have to continually do a continual sort of upgradation of people's awareness to tell them what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, just wanted to understand what are the interesting use cases that you are piloting on Agentforce and the kind of productivity and scale it has been able to unlock for you. Also wanted to understand, it sounds like you're using Agent Force for as a personalization recommendation engine, while one imagines that it would be like a chatbot that sits on the app or some channel which waits until the customer raises a query. So is that how you're
Both.
leveraging?
Both. Both.
So does that mean that the data then goes into the AI and the AI creates the messaging to reach out to customer all in a loop without any human
It is.
involvement?
Hello, you want to answer that? Vishal?
So it's actually got a mix. The AI is going to learn as much to be able to suggest the right product with the right messaging. But of course, we work in a space where we work with our partners, so therefore there's always a human intervention to kind of ratify what we are sending out, both from the legality and the usage of the visuals that we're using, because we are a content distributor, right? So therefore, there will always be a mix of AI plus some bit of human monitoring that will happen, so that we're in the right and the safe space. But eventually, like we said, when we were talking about n is equal to 1 or Project Neo, the attempt is that we are going to be using the data to be able to do the right recommendation for the product and the services that we have for a customer. So it's a mix of both, and when the agent is chatting or whether it's on the app, the agent is able to talk about the most relevant, best suited product for the customer.
And let me just add here. We trivialize the ability of an operator to suggest something new to the customer as an upselling mechanism. It is not as trivial as that. I'll just give you a personal example. 15 years ago, my aged parents moved in with me to Bombay. They used to be living in Delhi prior to that. And they had a TV in their room. And for 2 years, they were happily watching the television and everything was fine. Till one day something went wrong with the box. A technician came home, corrected the box. The connection was working. As we've always taught our technicians, that once you finish the call, ask them if everything that they're watching is relevant to them or is there something else they would want to watch. Because we believe that when a person subscribes, he needs to be able to watch what he wants to watch. And my mother turned around to the technician and said, "Beta, हम जब दिल्ली में थे तो पंजाबी का प्रोग्राम आता था, यहाँ नहीं आता है. Maybe this is Bombay, so therefore nobody speaks Punjabi here, so therefore it doesn't come here." So the guy said, "नहीं माता जी, सब कुछ आता है इधर. चलिए मैं आपको पंजाबी भी ऑन कर देता हूँ." And he quickly did some manipulation, and all the Punjabi channels were active. From that day onwards, I felt ashamed in my house that being the head of an organization that served television could not figure out the needs of my parents with respect to content that they would like to watch, and a technician in a 10-minute journey into the house was able to. So, and after that, the smile on their face to watch the Punjabi channel that they were watching 2 years ago in Delhi when they were there, I was like much more than I could ever have delivered. So let's not trivialize the ability to offer what a customer wants to watch as an experience enhancer. If you are able to deliver that, I think that's a big experience.
But there are multiple use cases. We are using it across companies, other companies. I don't want to talk about other companies here, but you should come to some of our events and you should tell Ashim, no, it's okay. I don't want to talk about those today, but then we are, like I showed you, there are so many industries and there are very, very innovative use cases we are using it for.
As it does by increasing sales. No, I don't think there is a target that we set for these things. There is a certain, so two things we measure it by. Can we have smaller campaign? A campaign is the number of people you are connecting with for a particular proposition and how many of them buy. So you measure it by what is the size of the campaign and what is the conversion of the campaign. So the efficiency is measured by how small can you take the campaign and what percentage of the people that have been contacted accepted it. Like I said, NEO stands for N equals 1. So our ultimate objective obviously is to have a campaign of sample size 1. But that's a hypothetical direction that we're going towards. But yeah, we aim to run smaller campaigns, many more campaigns than we are handling today, with a higher conversion in each campaign. If these three boxes are ticked, the partnership is successful.
So earlier, basically, everybody used to spray and pray. Okay, you put out as much as you can and then hope that there will be a conversion. Today, it is far more targeted. So both you are saving on costs, okay? You are saving on time, not only yours but also of the customers, okay? And you are getting better conversions. So, and you are getting better satisfaction from the customer because they are not getting useless stuff, okay? So you increase customer satisfaction, you lower your costs, and you improve your conversion. So all of these three parameters, over a period of time, they will obviously monitor and see.